a lovely film. And here to talk about it is a medical student from Amsterdam that I would like to introduce to you now, Salmaan Sana.
I almost lost one of my greatest possessions. And this is the story about how I found it back. When I was a kid, I had to go to the hospital quite a few times because I had some minor ailments. I was anemic. I had a lot of bloody noses, and I also was quite heavily asthmatic. I was really scared of hospitals, so every time I went there, I thought, oh no, do I have to go? And when I got there, then I had these amazing doctors that took care of me. And actually what they did was they took away the fear that I actually had of the entire hospital. And they made me realize that when you go to a hospital, you go there to feel better. And that's where already a spark of interest came for the whole field of medicine. Now I can say very generically, like I like medicine because you help people, but it's actually more than that. For me personally, it meant how I can actually have a particular impact on people's lives. So a couple of years ago, I started studying medicine. And here it is, I'm walking into this huge world where it's all about cure, care, and about the physiology and how the body works and how it stays in balance. And when it doesn't stay in balance, what happens to it, and the pathology, and it all goes wrong, and what you have to do in order to make sure that actually you can get the person healthy again. That was fascinating, but already in my first years, my motivation started slowly slipping away. Now, this wasn't because of the fact that I was one of the 350 other medical students there and I just felt like a number. Nor was it because of the fact that our professors, I know they really tried their best. Well, they could have learned a few things from some TED Talks, but it was actually something more because I was missing something. I was missing a particular human factor which I did not find back in the education. More of a why do we wish to actually care for patients in the first place? Not only that, but I also realized that the higher I climbed the academic ladder, the thinner the air gets. It gets tougher, the workload, the time pressure. And not only that, but people are starting to compete and elbows. So I did what at least a student of my species does, is I found a way to fill that void. So I started doing jobs in the hospital, taking blood from patients, and having at least some patient contact in my first years already. Started becoming a student assistant so I could start teaching. I'm a guy that loves to just throw myself in the deep end and just try swimming. And next to that, I also went to the student council because the education needed to change. So I thought, okay, if I join the student council, I can talk about how the education needs to change. Now, amongst all that, I came across an organization. The organization is called the International Federation of Medical Students Association, acronymed the IFMSA. These medical students, they work with a slogan called Think Globally, Act Locally, sharing of best practices and actually being the change they wish to see in the world. Future physicians finding a way to improving global health. They're not just talking the talk, they are walking the walk. They have this project, which is, there's so many projects. We're working on human rights and peace and sexual reproductive health and AIDS and medical education and public health. There's one project, which I would like to just give as an example. It's called the Teddy Bear Hospital. And this has been done internationally. So what they do is they get all these kids to come to the hospital and everyone brings a teddy bear or they're given one. And then the kids learn how to, for example, tape up a broken arm or make an x-ray or put an IV in just to take away the fear that they initially had. And this is done by medical students internationally. It's the most beautiful, and there's so many more other beautiful projects that they do. So amongst them, I thought, finally, my people. So I got active, which is actually an understatement because the next 3 years that actually followed from there was just a lot of traveling and working with these students and events and projects and giving a lot of training and workshops. But at the same time, my studies started to lag. I was falling behind. Now, granted, I was doing some awesome stuff, but I was also getting all these voices coming towards me saying, Why are you wasting your time on all this? Are these activities really good for you? What are these going to actually contribute to your life? And worst of all, do you still want to become a doctor? Yeah, that last one really did hurt, because there's nothing that I want to do more than become a doctor. But what they didn't understand was that there's something that I was missing that apparently I found back in these activities that I was doing. But at the same time, there's a little truth in there as well, because I also realized that if I actually want to become a part of the change within healthcare, which I've been so much, I've been talking about, I also need to become a part of it myself. Yeah, I know it's a no-brainer. I'm a little slow, so I got there a little late. So then, what I did was I put away, and it comes, when you start dragging on your studies, you also, this part of shame comes and this guilt feeling, so I needed to put that to the side, tilted my head up, and with the amazing understanding, support, and love from family and friends around me that understood me, I am now continuing my studies. Thank you. I'm not done yet. I'll invite you guys to my graduation. So I started studying. I'm starting to study again, and at the same time, I started to ask myself, what's the reason that actually I started to lose my passion? But not only me, but every single student within healthcare. And what we started doing is we actually gathered some like-minded medical students and like-minded and spirited, and we started to get together and try to analyze this concept. Why do we lose our passion? And well, it's actually quite frightening. You'll actually realize that more than 20% of the interns and residents are actually either becoming disillusioned or becoming depressed. And a very frightening statistic is that more than 40% of the physicians are suffering from chronic fatigue. Now, the amount of patients are only going to increase, which means this problem is only going to get worse, which also means something clearly needs to change. So what we did was we continued with analysis of, where is it going wrong? And you know what? It's really good for analysis to figure out what's going wrong, but we stumbled upon something even more precious. We thought, how could one actually make sure they keep that initial passion that they have, especially for those working within healthcare? And we realized it comes and boils down to one basic, fundamental, beautiful emotion. And that is the emotion of compassion. Compassion has the ability to restore the balance between humanity and efficiency. Now, inspired by Karen Armstrong, and for those of you who do not know Karen Armstrong, she held a TED Talk a couple of years ago about reinvoking the golden rule. And the golden rule is to treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. Now, using that, what she did was she used that and she won the TED Prize. And from the TED Prize, she created the Charter for Compassion. The Charter for Compassion was a document in which stated how compassion needs to become the core of humanity, our fundamental basis. So we used inspiration from Karen Armstrong, and further on we actually started working with her, that comes later, together with the medical students, the IFMSA students here in the Netherlands, and together with support from the UMC Radboud in mind and spirit of Lucia in England, and we went on our own track. So a couple of weeks ago, we gathered about 80 people from all over, from all different parts of healthcare, from all over the Netherlands, and we started to create our own charter. Making a charter in which we state how compassion needs to become the core and the fundament within healthcare, the basis. Now, we created that charter. It was a really fun, dynamic day, and we tried to put everything into it what we possibly could. And by the way, everybody was involved on that day. There was doctors, there was people from insurance companies, and especially patients. So how do we want to do this? How do we actually want to make an impact with compassion? Well, there's 3 different ways we want to work. We want this charter to work as a lighthouse for every single person that links compassion with healthcare, to bring all those stranded ships into one place so that we can all come together, share ideas, and work towards a common goal. Form a community. Secondly, now I know compassion comes with this warm, fuzzy, fluffy feeling. Yeah, compassion, huggy, huggy. But actually, there's so much more than that. It's, You know that they've actually done research on this, that compassion actually increases patient safety. Not only that, but it actually increases the rate in which patients recover. Now, if you didn't know that, it's a good fact to know. And there's more research that we're finding out, which is coming in our way. Please send more if you know some. And we're going to do some research, more research on this. And thirdly, and this is where I personally feel identified, we need to hit it at its core, and that is at its education. We need to make compassion a part of healthcare education. Paulo Coelho says in his book, "The universe conspires for us to reach our destiny." I almost lost one of the greatest possessions in the world to me, and that was my passion and drive to become a doctor. Now, with all the experiences that I had, and all the things that I've been able to do and all the events, and especially being involved in something such as Compassion for Care, I can now say that I'm continuing my studies, and I'm hoping that this is going to make me a better man, friend, family member, and I'm also hoping a future physician. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how to react to that. So we started Compassion for Care, and today is actually a very remarkable day because it's actually going to be a starting point. Because if you go to our website, we actually have the charter online. It's going to be launched at 4 o'clock. And there's two different things I want to ask you right now. Firstly, if you in any way feel connected to this in any way, please go to the website and sign the charter, because it can now be signed. But signing is the easy part. Anybody can sign it. This is actually a call to action, because a charter is just a document with text. And we're asking all of you to get active, to contact us, to become a part of this. We're trying to create a movement in making compassion a fundamental part of the healthcare. Now, I told you about Karen Armstrong. I was going to get back to that, and here it is. So we contacted her for advice because she created a charter for compassion, and it's this huge movement happening within compassion, and she's working in countries and the cities that have now even implemented compassion as a part of their education. And we told her about what we were working on, and I want to leave you with words that she has to say about our initiative.
I've just read the Charter for Compassion for Care, and I think it's superb. It's inspiring, and it's desperately needed in our time. So I endorse it wholeheartedly, and I do urge you all health workers in your own communities, in your own hospitals, in your own nursing homes, to see what you can do to make healthcare more empathic, compassionate, and healing on all fronts.